Picture this. A Wednesday evening in Eugene, Oregon. You're standing in the hallway of Grace Covenant Church, waiting to pick up your wife from her women's Bible study. You're 10 minutes early. The door to the fellowship hall is open a crack, and you hear laughter. Then you hear your name. Franklin won't stop asking. Your wife says. Every night. Like clockwork. I told him stop. Just stop asking me for intimacy. It's exhausting. More laughter. Someone says, girl, you need to set that boundary hard. Then another voice, calm, practiced, pastoral. Claudette, a man who can't respect your physical autonomy is showing you who he is. You're carrying too much. You deserve rest from that pressure. That's Kitty Gatlin, the pastor's wife. And she just diagnosed your marriage in front of 11 women you see every Sunday. You stand in that hallway. Your boots don't move. Your hands hang at your sides like they forgot what they're for. 12 years in the Army taught you to assess a situation before reacting. So you assess. Your wife just told a room full of church women that you're the problem. That reaching for her in your own bed is a burden she needs relief from. And they all agreed. You turn around, walk to the truck, drive home, put the kids to bed. Ike first, because he fights it, then Maisie, who's already asleep on the couch with her stuffed rabbit. You fold the laundry. You wait. When Claudette comes home at 9:15, she kisses your cheek. Good group tonight, she says. Same smile. Same voice. Like nothing happened. That's the night everything shifts. Not because she said it, but because she said it to everyone except you. Here's what you need to understand about Franklin Treadwell. 12 years Army, 4 deployments, 2 commendations, 0 complaints filed. You don't do drama. You do discipline. You married Claudette 8 years ago in a courthouse in Springfield because neither of you needed a show. She was a dental hygienist. You were transitioning out of the service into facilities management at the University of Oregon. 2 kids came fast. Ike, then Maisie 14 months later. You built the life she said she wanted. 3-bedroom house off River Road. Fenced yard. Dog named Captain that Ike picked from the shelter. There was a time she'd meet you at the door. Hand on your chest, forehead against your chin. Missed you, she'd say. Not performance. Just contact. You lived for those 3 seconds. The shift started 7 months before that hallway. Claudette found Grace Covenant through a coworker. Started attending Sunday services, then Wednesday Bible study, then a Saturday morning women's prayer group. You didn't mind. You respected faith even if it wasn't your lane. Go, you told her. If it helps, I'm for it. But something changed in her eyes. Not warmth, evaluation. She'd come home from Bible study and look at you like she was running diagnostics. Do you think you're emotionally available? She asked one Tuesday. You were elbow deep in the dishwasher, replacing a hose. I think I'm fixing the dishwasher, you said. She walked away without a word. The evening classes multiplied. Monday, yoga at a studio downtown. Wednesday, Bible study. Thursday, pottery class at the community center. Saturday morning, prayer group. She'd walk in at 10, sometimes 10:30, go straight upstairs, straight to bed. No conversation. No eye contact. You'd be on the couch with Captain, ESPN on mute, and she'd pass you like furniture. You told yourself it was a phase. Growth. Self-discovery. Whatever people call it when they're pulling away but don't want to say so. Then the intimacy conversation happened. Not the one at church, the one at home, 3 weeks before the hallway. You reached for her shoulder in bed. Not aggressive. Not demanding. Just your hand on her shoulder like you'd done 1,000 times. Stop, she said. Not loud. Not angry. Flat. Stop asking for intimacy. I need you to hear me. Stop. You pulled your hand back. Rolled onto your side. Stared at the wall. Okay, you said. She wanted you to argue. You could feel it. The pause, the held breath, waiting for pushback she could weaponize. But you're military. When someone sets a boundary, you respect it. So you respected it. Completely. The next morning you made breakfast for the kids, packed Ike's daycare bag, kissed Maisie's forehead, and left for work without looking at Claudette. Not out of anger. Out of compliance. She said stop. You stopped. Kitchen sink. Tuesday night, 9 days later. Water running. Ike and Maisie asleep. You're standing there with a sponge in your hand, staring at the drain. The water is warm and your hands aren't moving and you don't know how long you've been standing there. 15 minutes, maybe. Maybe more. Captain is sitting behind you, head tilted, like he's waiting for you to come back from wherever you went. You're not angry. You're not sad. You're trying to remember what it felt like when she wanted you near her. And you can't. The memory is there, but the feeling is gone. Like a photograph of a meal. You can see it, but you can't taste it. You turn off the water. Dry your hands. Sit on the kitchen floor with your back against the cabinet. Captain puts his head on your thigh. You stay there until the porch light clicks off on its timer. Thursday. You start going to the driving range after work. Not golf. You don't play golf. You just buy a bucket of balls and hit them into the net. One after another. Grip, stance, swing. You don't keep score. You don't track distance. You just need something to hit that won't break. Marshall Birch finds you there the second week. Marshall's been your friend since you moved to Eugene. Works at the water treatment plant. Coaches Ike's t-ball team. Solid guy. Doesn't talk unless he has something to say. He watches you hit 6 balls without speaking. Then, you okay? Fine. You've been here 4 nights straight. The guy at the counter knows your name. He's friendly. Marshall sits on the bench behind you. Claudette posted something on her stories yesterday. You stop mid-swing. What kind of something? Quote graphic. Said, when you stop performing for people who don't appreciate you, peace follows. Had a sunset behind it. You set the club down. She posted that. 47 likes. Kitty Gatlin commented a prayer emoji. Here's what the church group doesn't know about Franklin Treadwell. You don't perform. You never performed. You showed up every day for 8 years and did the work. Real, unglamorous, consistent work. Changed diapers at 3 a.m. Fixed the furnace in January. Drove 40 minutes to pick up Claudette's mother from the airport without being asked. That's not performance. That's the job. And you did it because you wanted to, not because anyone was watching. But according to Kitty Gatlin and 11 women with matching devotional journals, you're too controlling. You're emotionally unavailable. You're not meeting her where she is. You know this because Claudette's friend Dinah, who attends the same group, told Marshall's wife, who told Marshall, who told you at the driving range on a Friday evening while you were destroying your 3rd bucket. They're calling it a support group, Marshall said. But it sounds more like a tribunal. What exactly are they saying? That you don't support Claudette's spiritual growth. That you're threatened by her independence. Kitty apparently told her that a husband who asks for physical closeness when his wife has said no is exhibiting coercive behavior. You put another ball on the tee. Swung so hard the club hummed. Franklin, I heard you. What are you going to do? Exactly what she asked. Nothing. And you meant it. Not as strategy. Not as punishment. Claudette said stop, and you stopped. You stopped reaching. You stopped asking how her day was. You stopped waiting up. You stopped saving her a plate when she came home late. You stopped texting during the day. You just stopped. Not because you read a playbook. Because you had nothing left to give. Monday, Claudette comes home from yoga. You're reading like a bedtime story. She stands in the doorway. You don't look up. She goes to the kitchen. Tuesday, she mentions a co-worker's retirement party. That's nice, you say, and go back to your crossword. She waits. You don't add anything. Wednesday, Bible study night. She leaves at 6:30. You feed the kids, bathe them, put them down. She comes home at 10. You're already in the guest room. Door closed. Light off. Thursday, she texts you at lunch. Can we talk tonight? You reply about what? She doesn't answer. Friday, you take Ike and Maisie to the park after daycare. She comes home to an empty house. You don't explain where you went. By the second week, the temperature in the house is different. Not cold exactly, absent. You're present for the kids, fully present, but with Claudette, you've become a ghost who does dishes. Polite. Efficient. Gone. She notices. You're different, she says on a Saturday morning. You're making pancakes for Ike. Maisie is in her high chair, smearing banana on the tray. Different how? Distant. Cold. Like you don't care. You flip a pancake. You asked me to stop. I stop. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Claudette? Silence. Maisie bangs her spoon. Ike says, Daddy, can mine have chocolate chips? You get the chocolate chips. Claudette stands there, arms crossed, mouth slightly open. You've seen that look before. The face of someone who gave an order and didn't expect it to be followed. Stay with me here. Because what happens next is the part that still sits in your chest. Claudette goes to Kitty Gatlin. Tells her Franklin has shut down. Kitty's response, relayed through the same Dinah to Marshall's wife pipeline. Is this good? Now he's feeling what you felt. Let him sit in it. Let him sit in it. Like your marriage is a classroom and Kitty Gatlin is the professor and you're the student who needs correction. But Claudette doesn't feel victorious. She feels the silence. She walks through a house where a man used to reach for her and now doesn't. Where he used to save her a plate, and now the leftovers are in a container in the fridge with no note. Where he used to text, "Drive safe," when she left for her evening classes, and now her phone stays quiet. Third week. Something changes in Claudette. She starts coming home from pottery class different. Not sad different. Energized. There's a lightness to her that wasn't there before. She hums in the kitchen, checks her phone, and smiles at something. Buys a new perfume you've never smelled. You notice. Military notices everything. She reaches for you on a Thursday night. First time in 2 months. Puts her hand on your forearm while you're reading on the couch. You don't pull away, but you don't respond either. "I miss us," she says. Which version? What? The version where I ask and you say stop? Or the version where I stop and you say I'm cold? She pulls her hand back. Goes upstairs. You hear the bedroom door close. Not a slam. Just a click. Somehow the click is worse. The next Sunday, you drop Ike and Maisie at the church nursery and walk into the sanctuary. You don't usually attend. Claudette goes alone. But today you want to see. Pastor Gatlin gives a sermon about patience and forgiveness. Kitty sits in the front row, nodding. During the greeting time, 3 women from the Bible study shake your hand with expressions that land somewhere between pity and judgment. One of them, a woman named Brenda, squeezes your hand too long and says, "We're praying for your family, Franklin." You didn't ask anyone to pray for your family. You didn't tell anyone your family needed prayers. Claudette did. She told all of them. After the service, you're loading the kids into the truck when Marshall texts, "Check Claudette's Instagram stories." You don't have Instagram. You borrow Ike's tablet in the back seat while Maisie sings to herself. Claudette's story, posted an hour ago during the service, is a photo of the fellowship hall with the caption, "Finding my voice in a community that actually listens." Some people in your life will never hear you. Find the ones who will. 212 views. Kitty Gatlin liked it. The pastor liked it. Brenda commented 3 hearts. Your marriage is being discussed, dissected, and diagnosed by a community you never joined. Your private life is their Wednesday night content. And your wife, the woman you held through 2 miscarriages before Ike, the woman you drove 14 hours straight to get to when her father had his stroke. That woman is performing her pain for applause. Ike looks up from his tablet. "Daddy, why is your face like that?" "Like what, buddy?" "Like when Captain goes to the vet." You almost laugh. "Almost. I'm fine, bud. Let's get milkshakes." That night after the kids are asleep, you sit in the truck in the driveway. Engine off. Radio off. Your phone is in your hand. You find Odessa Ogilvy's number, a family attorney Marshall recommended. You don't call. Not yet. You just look at the number. Then you think about the new perfume. The Thursday nights when Claudette comes home from pottery with a glow that has nothing to do with clay. The way she's suddenly different. New energy, new confidence, new something you can't name, but you recognize. You've been deployed 4 times. You know what it looks like when someone is performing for someone specific. You don't have proof. You're not looking for proof. You're looking at a number on your phone and remembering what Claudette said 2 months ago. Stop asking for intimacy. You stopped. But somebody didn't. Monday morning. You call Odessa Ogilvy before your first meeting at work. Her voice is calm, efficient. She asks questions like a field debrief. How long married? Kids? Assets? You answer in order, precise, no emotion. Has she filed anything? Odessa asks. No. Has she mentioned divorce? No. She's mentioned boundaries. She's mentioned space. She's mentioned that I don't support her spiritual growth. Who told her that? The pastor's wife. Pause. Franklin, I've had 3 cases in the last 2 years where the pastor's wife at Grace Covenant was involved. Different families. Same pattern. Your hand tightens on the phone. What pattern? She counsels the wife. Isolates her from the husband. Frames normal behavior as controlling. By the time the husband understands what's happening, the wife has already built a narrative with a dozen witnesses who'll confirm she was the victim. That's my marriage. I know. That's why I ask. You sit in the parking lot at work for 12 minutes after hanging up. The radio is playing something about Anthropic CEO apologizing over a leaked company memo. You're not listening. You're doing math. 8 years of marriage. 2 kids. A house you're still paying for. And a woman who told her church group you were the problem before she ever told you there was one. That evening you drive to the driving range. Marshall is already there. He's not hitting, just sitting on the bench with 2 coffees. He hands you one. Dinah told my wife something else, he says. Go ahead. Thursday pottery class. Claudette's not going to pottery class. You set the coffee down. Where is she going? Dinah doesn't know exactly, but she ran into Claudette at the Market of Choice on Willamette on a Thursday at 8:30. Claudette said she was grabbing something before class, but the community center closes at 8 on Thursdays. Has for 2 years. Grip. Stance. Swing. The ball disappears into the net. I know, you say? You know? I know something's off. I've known for weeks. The perfume. The energy. The way she reaches for her phone before she reaches for anything else. What are you going to do? Exactly what my lawyer said. Document. Protect the kids. Don't confront. Marshall nods. You hit another bucket. Neither of you keeps score. Wednesday. Claudette comes home from Bible study. She's crying. Not loud. Contained, private crying that she doesn't want you to see. But you're in the hallway and she walks right into you. What happened? You ask. Despite everything, genuine. Nothing. It's nothing. She wipes her eyes. Then, quietly. Kitty said I need to consider whether this marriage is where God wants me. Kitty said that. She said sometimes God closes doors so you can walk through better ones. And which door am I, Claudette? She looks at you. For a moment. Just a flash. You see the woman from the courthouse. The one who said, I do, like she meant it with her whole body. The one who put her head on your chest in the truck afterward and said, we're going to be good at this. I don't know anymore, she says. And you believe her. Not Kitty's version. Not the Instagram version. This version, confused, tired, crying in the hallway at 10 p.m. You almost reach for her. Your hand moves 3 inches toward her shoulder. Then you remember. Stop asking for intimacy. You pull your hand back. She sees it happen. Her face crumbles. Franklin, you set the boundary, Claudette. I'm honoring it. She goes upstairs. You stand in the hallway. Captain comes and sits next to you. The porch light clicks off. Here's where the story turns. Because you almost believe that moment was real. Almost. Friday morning. Claudette leaves her phone on the kitchen counter while she showers. A notification pops up. A group chat called Gatlin Girls. You don't touch the phone. You read what's visible on the lock screen. Kitty Gatlin. How did the crying go? Did he reach for you? Claudette. Almost. He pulled back. Kitty, good. Phase 3 is working. When he reaches, that's when you know you have the leverage back. Phase 3. Your marriage has phases now. Your wife's tears have a strategy document. The woman who cried in your hallway wasn't breaking. She was performing a scene that Kitty Gatlin directed from a group chat. You photograph the lock screen with your own phone. You don't touch hers. You make Ike's lunch, drop both kids at daycare, and drive to Odessa Ogilvy's office. Phase 3, you tell her. She doesn't look surprised. Same playbook as the Hendersons. And the Driscolls. Kitty Gatlin doesn't counsel marriages, Franklin. She dismantles them. Why? Control. Influence. Validation. Her Bible study has become a pipeline. Unhappy wife goes in, divorce comes out. She positions herself as the spiritual authority, and by the time the husband realizes what's happening, his wife has 12 character witnesses and a narrative ready for court. You sit in the chair across from Odessa's desk. Your hands are on your knees. They're not shaking. They're perfectly still. File it, you say? You're sure? She told me to stop. I stopped. She told a church full of strangers I was the problem. She let a woman I've never had a conversation with design phases for my marriage. She aired our life on Instagram for prayer emojis. And the tears in my hallway, the ones that almost broke me, were a performance review. You stand up. I respected every boundary she set. Every single one. Now I'm setting mine. The paperwork goes through on a Tuesday. Claudette finds out from the process server at the dental office during her lunch break. She calls 7 times. You answer the 8th. You file. Her voice is shaking. You actually file? You said stop. I stopped. All of it. That's not. Franklin, that's not what any of this was supposed to. Kitty said, Kitty. Everything you say starts and ends with Kitty. When did you stop thinking for yourself, Claudette? Silence. Then, quietly. She said you were controlling me. I fixed your dishwasher. I drove your mother to the airport. I held you through 2 miscarriages and never left your side. If that's control, then yes. I was guilty of giving everything I had to the only life that was falling apart. And it wasn't mine. She's crying. Real this time. You can hear the difference now. The performed tears have rhythm. These are ragged, catching on words she can't finish. I made a mistake, she says. You made a community project out of our marriage and let a stranger with a group chat run it. That's not a mistake, Claudette. That's a choice you made every Wednesday night for 7 months. Maisie asks the question on a Sunday afternoon. You're sitting on the floor of the apartment you rented on Chambers Street, unpacking her stuffed rabbit collection. She looks at you with her mother's eyes. Daddy, is Mommy coming to my house or your house? Both houses, baby. Mommy loves you in both houses. She thinks about this. Holds a rabbit with one ear. Can the rabbits go to both? Every single one. She nods, satisfied. Goes back to arranging them by size. You sit on that floor for a long time after she falls asleep. Marshall Birch brings you a bucket of balls on a Thursday evening, 2 weeks after the filing. You hit them in silence. After the last one, he says, heard Kitty Gatlin's husband is being reviewed by the church board. For what? 3 families from the same Bible study dismantled in 18 months. Yours, the Hendersons, the Driscolls. Some of the elders started asking questions. Brenda, the one who prayed for your family. She went to the board. Said she didn't realize what the group had become. You lean on the club. Brenda did that. Turns out not everyone in that room agreed with Kitty. Some of them just didn't know how to speak up when the pastor's wife was doing the talking. You look at the driving range. The net. The empty buckets. You've been coming here for 9 weeks. You still don't keep score. Did Claudette know? Marshall asks. About the other families? She says she didn't. You believe her? You think about the hallway tears. The courthouse. The hand on your chest 8 years ago. I believe she walked into something she didn't understand and let someone else tell her what it meant. I believe she stopped thinking and started performing. And I believe by the time she realized the difference, she'd already told 100 strangers that I was the villain in a story I never auditioned for. 6 weeks later. Saturday morning. You're at the park along the Willamette River bike path. Ike is on his balance bike, legs pumping. Maisie is in the stroller, pointing at ducks. Claudette is on a bench 30 feet away, shared weekend, but you both show up because the kids asked. She walks over while Ike chases a squirrel. Kitty called me yesterday, she says. I didn't answer. You don't respond. I left the group. Bible study, prayer circle, the chat, all of it. I told Brenda she was right. Okay. I don't expect you to. I know it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't. She nods. Watches Maisie. She has your eyes. She has your stubbornness. Almost a smile. Not quite. The space between you is 30 inches and 8 years, and a hallway where she cried on command, and a lock screen that said Phase 3. Ike runs back, breathless. Daddy, the squirrel went up the tree and I couldn't follow it. That's because you're not a squirrel, bud. Can I be one? You can be anything. But right now you're a kid who needs lunch. You load the kids into the truck. Claudette walks to her car. She doesn't wave. You don't watch her leave. The driving range is empty that evening. Just you and the net and a bucket of balls and the sound they make when they disappear into the dark. You don't keep score. You never did. You just needed something to swing at that wouldn't swing back. She said stop. You stopped. That was the truth of it. The whole truth is simpler and worse. You stopped everything. The asking, the reaching, the waiting, the hoping. And when the house got quiet enough, you finally heard what had been there all along. A dozen voices where there should have been 2. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.